Then I got all these services signed up. I got all these people. And then 2 weeks later, I started getting calls like, hey, the tech came and they missed a bunch of spots. They didn't spray very well, or like they didn't do
Mm.
everything that you said that they were going to do. How do you usually structure these? I was hoping to kind of just have like an open dialogue conversation. You can just ask me any questions and then I can kind of, I was hoping to like start off with just kind of a brief like summary overview of some things I've been thinking about lately. And
Okay.
then hopefully that'll give us some topics to talk about. And then if you have any questions or follow-ups, or like if you want to lead the story, lead the podcast direction in whatever way you want to go, that'd be super helpful for me just to like
Hmm.
get some guidance from you. But honestly, like ultimately, I'm hoping to just get your input and advice and opinion as a mentor, because I'm 24 years old, about to turn 25 in 30 days, and it's always been my goal to have a Tesla before I'm 25. So I've got a lot to do
Okay.
in the next 30 days.
Well, you can get a Tesla for 3,000 down and 300 a month.
Yeah, it's not too bad. That's
Yeah.
something I could do if I can get enough of a steady flow to convince the wife, and then also I probably won't go straight for a Tesla, but like because I don't have a house yet. So there's some steps I've
Okay.
got to do before I get there.
All
Still
right.
in an apartment, but at least being able to say that if I wanted to, I could get a Tesla at 25. Then it'll check off the box of it's about the principle, or it's the principle. I don't know if you've ever
Well,
watched Bob's Burgers, but there's this like scene where he's always talking about it's the principle. And so I'm not like a stickler for principle or anything, but it's definitely, there are some things that I want to do to kind of like prove to myself that I've got what it takes, and that I'm not all talk. I can actually walk the walk.
so there's things that you want to do, and those principles will show through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why people will want to work with you and have been working with you. But the famous quote that everyone has from Zig Ziglar is that if you help enough people get what they want, or you get what you want if you help enough people get what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So then where do you want to create the most value, Braden?
I want to help people grow. I feel like one of the things that I've struggled with the most in life is not being able to really like do the things that I think are valuable. I've always been doing things for other people that I kind of have to do. So I don't know how much of my story I've told you, but when I was 12 years old, my parents owned a home theater and home automation business in Utah Valley. They sold that. We moved to Missouri and we started a farm from scratch, even though we'd only owned like a teeny tiny dog before that and a parrot that died. So like we had no business owning
Not a good
animals,
sign.
starting a farm, and I'm the oldest son at 12 years old. It's my job to start like working on the farm, right? And so I was homeschooled simply because we couldn't afford an employee, so I needed to work. And so I did like a couple of, there's this program online called Khan Academy, which is like
Oh yeah.
teaches you math and science and stuff like that. So like I would occasionally watch those videos when I felt like I had time. But then apart from that, I was like waking up and milking the cows, like doing the hay bales. We were out like haying our own fields because we couldn't afford to buy our own bales. Um, just like cleaning out muck from the barn, building barns. Like it was just like work, 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 work from the day I turned 12 till I moved out at 18, to go do summer sales and sell pest control door to door. And then that sucked. I hated selling pest control because when I went to go do pest control, for the first like 2 weeks, I crushed it because I believed in the product. I believed in the service. I was standing
Mm,
in front of people's doors and I was like, "You need pest control. You live in Houston, Texas. You need
mm.
bugs to be not in your house because otherwise you're going to get infested." So I believed in it, and then the complaints started coming in, right?
Mm.
I would sell to somebody and I'd give them my personal cell. I'd say, if you have any problems, give me a call, text me, whatever, and I'll try and help you out the best that I can. All of this stuff. And I was like, I was following the pitch that I was told to do, and I'm not in charge of the
Mm.
service. But
Mm.
what I was telling people they were going to get, the company that I was selling for wasn't delivering on the promises they told me to make. And so then the rest of the summer, it was this inner struggle, this battle of like, I don't actually believe in this product and this service, but I have no other way of making money right now. So I had to just sell this. And like, I was being honest. I was setting expectations. I was like, this is what's going to happen. And so my success rate went down, but it wasn't bad enough that I got kicked off the sales team. And I actually ended up being the only person on my sales team that stayed until the very end of the summer. Everybody else left because it was just a super hard summer, super competitive, tons of people knocking doors. So anyways, after that, went to school for 4 years. I was able to get a scholarship, so I didn't have to pay a single dollar. I kept my grades up good enough that I was able to not work, and then FAFSA helped pay for the things that I needed, like rent and food and stuff like that. And so I was really lucky through college. I did communications with an emphasis in video production because I wanted to be able to tell stories really effectively, so that when I had products, when I had ideas, when I had services, I could do my own marketing in a way that would actually resonate with the people that I was trying to reach. Because door-to-door sales was not effective. I could talk to one person per house. Whereas if I make a video, I can push that out to 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people. I could have reached the whole Houston area in one day of shooting content instead of walking door to door. So I learned very early on in my career and in my experience what inefficient marketing is and what efficient marketing is. And granted, the success rate of sales is pretty high compared to a video. Like if I knock on your door, 50% chance, 10% chance, 20% chance that I'm going to walk away with money, depending on how good I am, right? So that's the appeal of sales. But when you take that skill and you apply it to a high leverage tool like video, you can scale. So that's why I studied video production. And then every like extracurricular that I could do was business and marketing focused. So I did like a small business administration, like accounting, just like all of these things that I was trying to add tools to my tool belt. I wanted to have the perspective, the skills, the knowledge, everything. What I missed out on was a little bit of the hard skills of like, here's how to run an ad campaign. Here's how to do Facebook ads. Here's how to like actually set up your pixel. I didn't spend a ton of time doing that, but then I went to work at a marketing agency, and we did WordPress web development on a platform called Oxygen. And I just like started out as an intern was what I was supposed to be. Super quickly, within I think 2 months, I was promoted to team leader and manager of our web department. So I was like hiring other interns, other people to work under me, managing them, building out websites. But that product was also someone else's, and we weren't doing the other aspects right. Like the websites looked good, but everything else was off. So we weren't getting sales, we weren't getting customers. That marketing agency ended up kind of pivoting, and we went into event marketing. So we were like hosting and running concerts in this college town that I went to, in Rexburg, Idaho, I've told you. So we were hosting concerts and promoting concerts for people to try to like have good entertainment for the college students. And that was somewhat successful, but I just remember like the stress, the anxiety that I felt of like, I have control of this much, but I want to see the success of every department, every area of this venture that we're doing. But because I only have this much control, it was just like anxiety and stress about all this other stuff. So it was just lesson after lesson of if I can't truly put my stamp of approval on a product or a service or a business, I can't promote it and sell it. And that was kind of what was the last straw for me at my last job. So after school, first job out of college was a marketing assistant. That was the job title for this law firm. And then eventually it turned into marketing assistant or marketing and practice builder. That was the title that it transitioned to. And then after about a year, I got a pretty good raise. I got a couple of good raises in my first year there, but I got another like pretty substantial raise. And I said, I can't just be your marketing person. I need to be your marketing and operations manager. Like this is because I couldn't put my stamp of approval on the product and on the service yet. There were some issues on the operations side that I was like, this is, I can't run ads. I can't make promotional material for you because there's some problems. There's still like, you're missing spots in the pest control spraying. Like you're doing things wrong. So I can't look somebody in the eye and tell them you should hire this attorney. And it was a moment when I realized, like, if I got in a car accident, I wouldn't come to my law firm. There are skeletons in the closet and I don't want that. And it was that moment, that realization, that I was like, I have to quit. I can't keep fooling myself. So it was only like maybe 2 or 3 months after I got my title bump to marketing and operations manager. And part of the reason why I felt like I needed to quit was because that marketing and operations manager was I could feel that there was something off and there was something I needed to change. But when I was giving feedback to the owner of the law firm, who I was working very closely with, it was like, dink, it would just like bounce off, bink, bink, bonk. It was like, he's not going to listen to me at all.
I know. I was on a couple of those calls and made some clear recommendations.
And yeah, it was frustrating. And I think there's a lot of people in the world who are business owners who aren't business people. Which, when you're a lawyer, you're a very successful lawyer, and you realize, like, this is something I could scale, but in your heart, in your brain, you're still a lawyer. You're not a business person. And so that's why I started to think, I think I might want to get into consulting. I think I could offer some advice, but I can't get too attached that when they aren't doing the right things that they need to be doing, that it's like stressing me out, keeping me up at night. Because I have sleep problems. I constantly think about other people's problems and success, and I'm like trying to figure it out. So if they're not taking the steps that they clearly need to take, that the numbers are showing that they need to take, then I can't be associated with that person. So that's why I quit ultimately. And now I'm doing like marketing and operations consulting for a couple of people that I know closely. So my boss actually still wanted to keep in contact with me. I offered my services as a consultant, and he has talked to me a couple of times. He's given me some calls, asked for advice, and he's actually more receptive now that I quit than he was when I was an employee. Weird thing that happened there.
You have more respect that way.
Yeah. I think he could see that I set that boundary, and he was like, okay, this guy respects himself enough to set that boundary, so maybe I should listen to what he says. So that's been really nice. And then I do some work for a therapist in the DC area. He's actually my uncle. Okay. So that's how I got that connection. And we are completely redoing his website. There's still some things I'm doing for him that I would rather not be doing, that I'd like to contract out. When we're talking about that right now, actually, we had a conversation earlier today.
You can contract all of it out.
Yeah.
To people that you trust.
And that's the thing. I'm trying to find people that I trust right now. I'm in that networking phase. I'm trying to build the connections that I have. I need to find a WordPress developer that I love, that I can say, like, this person is great, hire them. They'll get the functionality and they won't miss anything that needs to be checked off the list. I'm looking for a good ads person. I want to find people that I want to know how to do it well enough that I can make recommendations and connections and explain to the person that's actually hiring me, this is why we need to do it this way. I want to be able to have that conversation, but I don't want to have to be the person that's doing all of these aspects, because I am, at my core, I'm a visionary. I'm a vision person. I'm a dreamer. So, and that's where it comes into, like, I need to show myself that I can walk the walk and talk the talk, because I know how to talk the talk. I can paint a beautiful picture with these words.
You can sell pest control.
I can sell pest control to you all day long. But when I think maybe I should start my own pest control business and offer a better service, offer a better experience for the customer, it's like, how do you believe in yourself? How do you actually, like, have the audacity to think that you could do this better and set those standards and then implement? And
because those guys don't care. They just wanted the money, and you went into door to door for the money, not because you like knocking on doors.
Yep, exactly. But I ended up caring. That's the thing.
Which is the most important part.
It's impossible for me to get involved in something without caring. And either I will leave, I will stop doing that thing, I will exit, or I will find a way to care about the thing and influence it enough that I can continue to care about it. So that's what I'm like. That's these next steps. My goal for, I mean, I quit my job. I don't have any like set income now. It's all everything I want. I've got to hunt and drag it home. And so,
Well, I've got some lawyers that would love to listen to you, so you don't have to argue with them and drag them uphill, and you can put your stamp of approval on it.
yeah,
Because if you have a set way, a I don't like to say a template, but a clear process, like the way pilots have a clear process or a recipe, and you know that chefs who are trained and qualified to execute that recipe will deliver steak or whatever it is that you like in the way that you like it, where you know it's quality and they didn't cut corners
mm-hmm.
and they weren't selling steak but giving people hamburger, then you can feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes a step further than here's people that I trust to do WordPress or to do ads or to whatever. That's great. You obviously need high quality workers.
Yeah,
But what you also need to do is be in charge of the process and how it's done. Because
yeah.
if not, then you cannot put your stamp of approval on the result.
Mm-hmm. So I need
Even though
to,
it could be a beautiful website, the person could be good at ads or whatnot, but the missing piece is the framework and process that they follow. Good
mm-hmm.
people is the necessary first ingredient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really like I have to build the restaurant, create the recipe, and then hire the talent to create that recipe and consistently deliver on what I'm telling my clientele that
Yeah.
I'm offering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple more things. The clients, you have to be selective as well.
Mm-hmm.
You could have the best chefs, you could have the best SOPs and the best, you know, ovens and knives and that kind of thing. But if the clients you have don't have the necessary ingredients, then it doesn't work. So if we were to extend the restaurant analogy, it's bring your own meat.
Mm-hmm.
So if that personal injury attorney doesn't do a good job, if their intake sucks,
Yeah.
if they don't answer the phone right, if they cut corners because of the way they process cases, then you don't want to take them on because that's something that's broken. That doesn't resonate with you. It's beyond even the stamp of approval that you talked about, which is
Mm-hmm.
the if I don't feel they're doing a great job, I don't ethically feel like I can be promoting them. Yes, that's true, but it's multiple things that have to come together, which you should publish,
Mm-hmm.
which you should share in video, like you said here, because it allows you to reach more people than the one person you're knocking on their door. And you got to make it clear that wherever I've been, I've always been able to excel because I know how to sell because I'm competitive, but I also care deeply about what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I need to have control because it needs to be quality
Yeah.
and I need to feel good about it. It needs to have my stamp of approval, which means I'm super picky about the people that work on my team. I'm super picky about the clients and to deliver a result that I believe in. I have an SOP that I've executed multiple times that I've done for other PI firms that I know works, that
Mm-hmm.
I know drives operations, that I know takes good care of the underlying client who got in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone in your model has to be served ethically. And that's the only way that business should be done.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of personal injury attorneys, and they look at folks like you and me, and they say, I have no idea what my marketing company does. I pay them all this money. And you know, because you were on the other side.
Yeah. I was in it.
And you were even paying, not only were you working at marketing companies building websites and doing all kinds of stuff for lawyers, but you were also on the law firm side, starting out as a marketing assistant and growing that thing and seeing the owner of the law firm pay all that money to other agencies that did SEO and PPC and building websites and all that. And you saw the owner worried, like, I don't know if we can take it in house because this guy is so well trusted. He seems like he's the guy. I'm so afraid. I know that some of these other attorneys use this guy, so he must be good. And then these lawyers end up with marketing multiple agencies that they just do because they're afraid of doing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can shine the light on this, not because you're trying to expose marketing companies, but because you want transparency. You
Hmm.
want them to understand what's actually going on with their marketing and that it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Not because you're trying to become the consultant or you're trying to win business. No, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. I'm truly trying to look out for, I mean, in this equation, when you're a law firm and you're hiring an agency to do work for you, in that
Yeah.
equation, you're the little guy. They are taking your money and then they're trying to give you something in return. And I'm truly trying to look out for the little guy there, the
Yeah.
law firm. The law firm that's being taken advantage of by a leech that says that, yeah, we're going to do this massive SEO overhaul on your website.
Hmm.
And they just add a bunch of alt tags and
Yeah.
maybe they like put a couple of keyword rich articles on there. And then they say, we're going to do some SEO maintenance for you. And actually, I've been involved in a couple of calls with agencies that we're trying to sell to my uncle, the therapist, that are like making all these promises. And I'm asking these questions. So what are you actually going to do? How are you going to get more backlinks for us? How are you going to,
Proprietary.
what are you going to do for us to, like, are you going to consistently write new articles? Are you going to be finding or generating content for us at all for the SEO? He's like, no, our SEO maintenance package, usually we go in and we just kind of optimize a couple of things. Super vague. It was so vague that I was like, they're not going to do a thing. They're going to take a check for $1,000 every single month and they're not going to touch your website.
That's what happens 99% of the time.
Yeah.
But how would that therapist know?
They won't. I
And
mean,
they're
they
all
don't have
doing
the.
it. And that's why the therapist or the attorneys are saying, yeah, the last three marketing companies. Yeah, yeah, I know.
And the crazy thing is the reason we were meeting with this agency is because he said one of my good therapy friends just hired this company and
Hmm.
I want to look into hiring them. And I told him, I was like, they're not going to do anything for you.
Yeah, but they're such nice people, and my friend uses them, and they go to church with me and all of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. But you really do have to look at the numbers, the actual results they're promising you, and then keep them accountable. That's a huge part of it.
How do I know if my marketing company is not doing a good job? How do I hold them accountable?
Well, first of all, you definitely need to be getting reports from them. If your marketing company isn't giving you reports and you're seeing actual KPIs improving time over time, so whether you're looking at a month, a week, a year, you want to see like, okay, these are the KPIs. You need to be setting goals, and then you need to be actually, if not hitting the goals, getting close to hitting those goals consistently. So if that's, you want to increase traffic to your
Hmm.
website, you want more visitors, you want them to be qualified leads, then you're going to talk about like, okay, these are some keywords that we think are going to bring us some more visitors.
Hmm.
What's our current ranking for these
Hmm.
keywords? Where do we want to be, and how long is it going to take us to get there? If you ask your
Hmm.
marketing company those questions and they can give you an answer, then they'll say something like, it'll take us 3 months for us to get into the top 10 for this
They always
keyword,
say that.
or 6 months, whatever, right?
Sure.
Whatever it ends up being, follow up with them. Put that in your calendar. Ask them in 6 months, in 3 months, how are we doing for this keyword? You said we would be in the top 10 in 3 months or 6 months. Where are we at right now? And then
Hmm.
how has that actually impacted traffic to the site?
Hmm.
You don't need to know all the details. You don't necessarily need to get into your analytics account yourself. But if you're asking these questions and they don't have real answers for you, then that's the first sign that your marketing company is taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
You can definitely and absolutely should have access to your analytics account and check those numbers for yourself. Don't just listen to whatever comes out of their mouth as gospel. Look into it. And
I don't
there's
believe
some,
the reports either.
yeah, if it's like a report that's not a screenshot or them like logging in and screen sharing their Google Analytics or their like ranking report or whatever it is that they're pulling from, like Ahrefs,
Hmm.
Moz, whatever
Hmm.
tool it is that they use, if they're not like just actually showing you the data, they're making it up. If you get a PowerPoint every month, it's made up. Like, or
It
it's
is.
it or it's
And there's third
tweaked.
party tools that will make it look like things are good. There are tools designed for agencies to generate beautiful reports with their logos and color and all this when nothing's actually happening. The
Hmm.
reports are great, but I believe that you need to own the data and you need to know enough to be able to interpret the real reports from your own data.
Hmm.
If you don't own the systems and if you don't know how to read the reports, I don't trust it. It doesn't
Or
mean you have
or
to be able to fix the stuff, but you have to at least interpret the reports.
mhm. Or at least have someone that you trust who can do that for you.
Yeah.
And like as a consultant, that's why I was involved in that meeting, is because I can ask those questions and he trusts me. So when I say, don't hire this marketing company, they're going to rip you off, he
Right.
believes me. He
Right.
trusts
But
me. He
almost all of
knows
them
that.
do that. Yeah.
And he sent me a message after that. Like, I feel very grateful to have you on board, even
And
though
then that
I'm,
marketing company hates you.
yeah, well, they
And
don't
most of
hate
these
me.
marketing companies, they hate me too. Are you okay with when you help people with the truth and these marketing companies don't like that? Are you
Hmm.
okay with those guys not liking you? There's a lot of people. The majority of marketing companies are in that box. And I don't
Yeah.
think they're bad people. I don't think they try to be criminals or crooks, but I believe 99% of the marketing companies out there are in that box.
Yeah. I think I agree. And I don't think that the pest control company that I worked for was intentionally trying to do a bad job. I think it's really hard to have a team that cares as much as you do. You're never
Yeah.
going to hire a pest control tech that cares as much about your house and keeping the bugs out as you do. You're never going to hire an agency that cares as much about getting you ROI as you do. That's the truth. They're always looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't think that makes them bad people. I don't think that makes it a bad business or a bad company. I think that they just are missing the mark.
Well, I know
And
people who care a lot, but they still do a bad job because they're not competent and they never
mhm,
got actual training. They watched some YouTube videos, they went to a conference, and now they think they're experts.
yeah, yeah. Or they got their little Google certificate or whatever that takes 24 hours, 48 hours to go through the course,
Not
and
even
now
that.
they think they're the experts. But I do want to say, like, I don't want to pigeon myself, like, as Braden Moser, the services that I offer. I don't want to pigeonhole myself as just being the, like, I'll tell you your marketing agency's bad, right? I'm as I've been thinking about what it is that I want to create, who I want to be, what's my personal brand, what's the and we can talk about this if you want to, kind of like my vision with my, I have a persona that I want to elevate as part of my brand in
Yeah.
conjunction, parallel to Braden Moser, for different purposes. So we can talk about that later if you want. But one of the core values as I've been creating my branding and thinking about the big picture, and I'm starting with core values and rules and boundaries. Um, so I'll just quickly go through what these core values are. I've got them pulled up actually right now. I was working on it before we started our call. So transparency on evolving opinions. Um, I'm 24 years old, and I fully acknowledge that. I'm learning every single day. So I'm going to be very transparent about the fact that if I say something and then I learn something later on, I'll tell you that I learned something and what I said before is wrong. As I get 2020 hindsight, I will always try to inform my listeners and my viewers, my consumers, my customers, my supporters, followers, whatever they are. I will try to let them know and be honest. Everything that I create needs to be educational. I don't want people to watch a video and feel like there was no point to it. Everything has to have a moral to the story. That's just good storytelling, and that's also good business. Valuable. Everything that I create needs to enhance the consumer's health, time, happiness, quality of life, business, and or fulfillment, right? And I might add more to that, but it needs to have actual value that benefits their life, that they feel like they want to say thank you for that. Authentic and accurate. So my wife and I are going to be creating a co-brand together. That's kind of us as the Mosers, basically. So if we're talking about something hard, I want to be honest and transparent. Never fake. Never share false information intentionally. If we unknowingly perpetuate something that is not true, own up to it and correct it. And I use the word we because that goes for myself and my wife. Trust is going to be one of the most important things that you can build in your business, in your life, as a person, whatever. And so trustworthy is one of my core values. Acknowledge shortcomings and always strive to be a trustworthy source of information and guidance. If I tell somebody that they should hire an agency, or I really like this person, I've vetted them, they can offer a service and they're going to do a good job, and then I find out later that they're not, I'm not married to that original opinion that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I didn't know about this thing. I didn't know that my pest control company wasn't going to do a good job. So I'm really sorry, because I can't do that. Next is generous. Don't hold back value. Always give freely and let people say thank you in their own way. Sort of like tipping culture nowadays. It's like, here's your $20 coffee. What do you want to tip us? It's like, are you kidding me? Like, you charge, what are you doing right now? And one of the kind of business models that I've thought about is, it's a little tongue in cheek, just the tip. I want to offer services to people that don't actually have a base price. Everything is $0, and you pay me with just the tip. So if you feel like you got $50 worth of value out of that haircut that I gave you, pay me $50. If it was a $100 haircut, give me $100. But there's no like $20 plus tip. It's always just like, I want to be able to offer value, confidently knowing that when you receive that, you'll say thank you, because you got actual value out of what I gave you for free. And so then that kind of segues into sponsorships. How are you sponsored if you're only being paid with just the tip? So if we are sponsored by a product, we will never sell our opinion or our stance. We only provide our honest, true, genuine review. We only accept sponsorships from products and services we ourselves would pay for. I will never be that celebrity athlete that promotes Red Bull but doesn't drink Red Bull. Because there are so many people like that out there that are willing to sell their image, their brand, their voice for a couple of bucks. And they're giving up on trust. They're selling their trust and their authenticity for money. And that's something that I'm like adamant I will never do. But that also means I need to be safe for sponsors. Like, so I'm not going to accept payment for sponsorships in advance. We share our opinion with the sponsor before we post the video and allow the sponsor to decide if they want us to record and post or not. So if I get a pair of high heels from Louis Vuitton and I don't like them, they hurt my feet, I'll tell Louis Vuitton, hey, I don't like these shoes. Do you want me to make a video and share my honest opinion? I think it's a 5 out of 10. They're not terrible, but they're not the best shoes I've ever owned. And they can decide at that point, no, don't make the video. I'm not going to take payment for that. I didn't do anything for you. You gave me free shoes and I didn't make a video because I didn't like them. So keep your money. I'm not going to take payment in advance. This way we can maintain our honest opinion and trust with both brands and our audience. We won't publish a sponsored/free gift video that is less than a 5 out of 10. I don't want to do any negative harm on a company that's trying to work with me.
Right.
I'm not going to say this product is a 4 out of 10. Avoid it. If somebody gave me it for free, I'll never do that. That's scummy.
Yeah.
If I buy something and it's a 1 out of 10, I will tell the world that is a 1 out of 10 because I got scammed. And then I will let the business owner decide if they want to pay us for any score that is less than a 7. So if I like genuinely say, I usually like this brand, I usually like Nike, but these shoes, to be honest, are a 6 out of 10 for me. If you like these aspects, it might be the shoe for you, but for me, it's a 6 out of 10. And I will let Nike, if they decided to sponsor me in a million years, I'll let Nike decide.
We worked on their sponsorships and what athletes they chose and their social analytics, and for Adidas.
That's so
and
fun.
Red Bull. We've done all 3 of them.
That is so cool. That's
I
really
can tell
fun.
you about that another day.
Yeah, I would love to hear that story. That sounds super cool. But yeah, so like that kind of philosophy that I want to give brands a little bit of control. And if they say like, yeah, go ahead and make the video, even if it's a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, and they get the video back from me of my review, my opinion, and they don't feel like they want the world to see that, I won't post it. And they can decide if they want to pay me or not. If they feel like we appreciated the value that you gave us in that video and we appreciated the feedback, give me a tip. But it's always tip based. It's always you got value and you said thank you. And if the way that you can say thank you is $1, that's super meaningful to me. If I make a video and it gets 1 million views, if it gets 1,000 views, and 1 out of those 1,000 people gets enough value to say thank you with $1, that's good enough for me. And the idea is I have to then create very valuable content consistently in order to pay my bills. I have to convince people to say thank you with $1, $5, $10, $100, whatever it is. If I make a video and I tell you how to do ads, and then you take the knowledge that you got from the video I made, and you go and you make $1,000, you can say with like I feel like if that happened to me, I could honestly go and say, here's a $100 tip, here's $1,000 tip, because you made my business more successful. You made me $1 million with the information that you shared with me. So here's a $100,000 tip. And I'm putting a lot of faith in the world to be generous and thankful, but that's also why I want to invest my time in high leverage activities like video, because I can make one video, I can take an hour to make one video, and infinite people can see that. Infinite people can get value from that. And so it increases my chances of having one person say thank you.
Love it.
Lastly, balance. In order to ensure people trust our brand, we need to share both the pros and cons, good and bad, recommendations, and new favorite word, discommendations. Persuade.
Discommendations. Okay.
Discommendation is a real word. Yeah. I was a little surprised by that. Yep. Yeah, it is. It's the antonym to recommendation. So if you want to recommend something, you can also discommend something. So something's like, truly, if I do a review of a product that I purchase and I'm like, you need to avoid this. If I go to Taco Bell and I'm like, hey, the dollar burrito, I discommend that. It's a 2 out of 10. It's just going to do worse for you than it will going in. But their chicken tacos, that's an 8 out of 10. I'll recommend their chicken tacos. That's
because it has real
food.
Chicken. All right.
It's a real food. So being willing to share both sides of the story is one way that your brand or me as a brand can generate trust, right? If I'm only ever saying, I love this product, I love that product, I love that product, the value of my opinion cheapens over time.
Yeah.
A consistent 10 out of 10, everything's a 10 out of 10. Okay, wait, that chicken taco can't actually be a 10 out of 10 from Taco Bell. Right. So you have to be honest, you have to have balance, you have to be able to say the good and the bad. And then the rules are kind of just, I'm still working on the rules, but those are my core values as I'm thinking about the businesses, as I'm thinking about my vision, my brand, my personal brand, as well as any persona brands that I want to create. Then those are the things that are going to drive and motivate. Every time I make something, I'm going to go through that list. Does this meet all of the values? Is it up to snuff? Is this what I want to put out into the world? Is somebody going to be willing to say thank you for this content? And if it's not, I'm not going to post it. I'm not going to share it. And I think it's super important. As I've been working with businesses in my 24 years of life, and granted, because of my upbringing, I mean, I taught myself WordPress development and marketing at 14 years old. So I have over a decade of experience, even though I'm so young, because of the fact that I grew up on a farm. I had to build that website so my family could make money, so we could put food on the table at a really young age. And so because of that, because I have this experience with businesses that I actually support and approve of and can put my stamp of approval on, and then also on the flip side, businesses that I couldn't, that I had to walk away from, experiences that I could no longer, like it was making me feel like a bad person to be a part of that. Because I have that experience, one of the number one things that I've learned is you need to stick to your core values, and you need to truly deliver value as much as you can, generously, and then people will say thank you. And if you don't have the ability to, if you don't have the means yet to accept payment after you've given someone a product, after you've given them a service, I'm not going to like bag on anybody who charges $50 for something that's worth $50. But Costco is really good at this with their return policy. They don't sell things that their customers aren't going to keep, because their return policy is so generous. If you buy a couch and 5 years later you decide, I actually don't really like that couch, you can return it to Costco. They really do. Like, this is a Kirkland signature product. We stand by it always and forever. And so like I'm taking a little bit of that from Costco, but I'm going to take it one step further and always give everything I give for free, and then let people say thank you afterwards. It's truly betting on the value that I provide as a business person, as a consultant. And granted, right now, like I do charge a consulting fee up front. I say, like, for every hour that you want to buy from me, I charge $85 an hour. That's what I'm charging right now. And I probably could charge.
Can I buy some hours from you?
You can absolutely buy some hours from me.
All right.
I would love to sell some hours to you, Dennis. I think any hours that I invest in you in exchange for money are going to be well invested. I would love to sell some time to you.
And it's not even just, I want to buy time from you. I believe in what you're saying. I believe that the fact that you've taken the time to think carefully about where everyone can win and what you stand for and how you don't want to take money from people that you don't believe in, even if they're making a lot of money, that speaks volumes about you and your wife. The idea of even just the tip where you're relying upon the goodness of other people, even though I think people are going to take advantage of that,
Yeah.
says a lot. I think it seems a 20-something person might be idealistic to think things like that, but I think if you build protection around that and you serve people and because video can reach 1 million people, I think when you put this message out here of what you just said to attract the right people, I think the values protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So that those people who want to approach you for services or help, when they realize this is what you actually stand for, and you're not just saying it, you actually, I know you believe this, then you'll ironically make more money than the people who are out there just doing stuff because it makes money, because you will have created higher value. You stand by the ingredients, you stand by the end result, you stand by a certain set of people. And with all this AI stuff that's happening and all these marketing companies that are yelling louder and louder, you'll stand out from them because of your quiet voice.
Mm-hmm.
Because reputation is the only thing that's going to matter going forward.
Yeah.
Increasingly.
Yeah.
So I
And
would love to work with you. There's so many people that need help. And, I'm always looking for people that I can recommend. And unfortunately, there's not very many of them. I'm not going to name these names, but you know who the people are in this space.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many people that come to me that are attorneys, for example, that are therapists, that are whatever kind of service business, and they don't have 10 years of WordPress experience like you do. They, for various reasons, you've worked with a lot of people like this. I would love to pay you the $85 an hour all day long, because I know that when I do, you are going to create other Bradens. And that's
Mm-hmm.
my mission. If you feed certain pigeons, those pigeons are going to multiply. If you feed these other animals, whatever you feed is the thing that gets multiplied. I
Yeah.
want to multiply what you have. I want to support you in what you're saying. I knew that you had this just generally from being around you, but I didn't know you had it crystallized in this way. So that really makes me happy.
Thank you. Your feedback is invaluable to me. Unfortunately, I have been around people like who I think have seen a little bit peek, like just glimpses of what's inside, like this vision that I've had, because it's been cooking. This isn't something that I came up with yesterday when I quit my job or a week ago. These are lifelong values that I have established from constantly thinking. I have sleep problems because I lay in bed at night and think about things like this. And unfortunately, there are people in the world who want to drag you down, who don't want to see you succeed. And I've unfortunately been around a lot of people like that. So hearing somebody that I truly respect, truly look up to and admire, say that that they believe in me, that truly means a lot. And like, it's things like that keep me going. And my wife did that when she told me, quit my job or I'll divorce you. She said, you need to quit or I'm leaving you. What a weird backwards thing to say to your husband who makes a little bit more money than you, not a lot. Like we both are really good employees, and our employers have said thank you. But I'm still like the primary breadwinner, and she told me to quit my job, and she said, well, I need to pull up this quote. She said this the other day. And it's been, it's probably the nicest thing and most generous thing that anyone has ever said to me. Right, where's my quotes? The only thing that would let me down is for you to not even try. That was my wife, Leah, on March 16th after I quit my job. Because I told her, I was like, I'm scared. I'm a little bit intimidated. I have this vision, but I don't know if I can really make it real. Like I'm dreaming really, really big. My long-term goal, like I want to start a nonprofit. I want to have multiple businesses that offer value. I want to not only create videos and offer those for free, but I want to offer actual physical products that you can order from my online store for free. And then you'll get an email a week after you receive that product. How are you liking your product? Consider leaving us a tip if you actually like it. And now I'm not even going to say like how much you should pay. I want to give you like if I start selling branded t-shirts, for example, with my logo on it for free. If you feel like that's a $10 shirt, give me $10. If it doesn't even cover the cost of goods sold, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like I gave you a crappy shirt. That's on me. I should take that. So I have to like really truly strive that every product, everything I create is optimized, efficient, and valuable so that people are willing to say thank you. And I'm not going to expect it. I'm not going to ever do things for people that I expect to get a thank you. If I make a video, I'm not, it's free. It's meant to be free. Take advantage of it if you want to. But in 10 years, when this advice that I'm giving you compounds, when the value compounds and you're able to say thank you, do it. And you don't even have to say thank you to me. Maybe say thank you to another person and show them my content, share with them what you learned from me and claim it as your own. I don't even need credit. I need nothing, but I'm betting on the fact that if I give enough value to enough people, enough of them will say thank you, that I will eventually be successful.
I believe that has more wisdom in there than you can possibly imagine. Because I sort of believed tentatively what you said when I was younger, that I thought idealistically the world was a good place, and if I did a good job, then I would be rewarded. And if I put my knowledge out there for free, people would pay me something. That's why I believe make a ton of videos. You can see I've got thousands of videos where I share what I know. And I can tell you, Braden, that my entire career has hinged upon that point. I put everything I know out there. I've helped pretty much everyone that has come my way the best I can. And if they don't have any money, I still help them as best I can. And that has led to so much abundance, so many of the right people coming to me who then will reward me very handsomely. But it's also led to people that take advantage, and it's created a lot of heartburn and created a lot of situations where people who are in desperate need for various reasons, they reach out, I help them, and then they complain or they say bad things, or think of all the people that need clothes and they'll get your free shirt and they won't tip you. So I think there's a practical balance to that. But I can tell you my reputation and anything good I've ever had has been from me creating the value first. I could never do what you've done with like summer sales or knocking on doors. I have never once cold called. I never send cold emails. I never say, let's get on the phone so I can try to sell you. Every client I've ever gotten has come to me. Ever.
Yeah.
And the people that come our way that are partners or whatever, I think you and I met because Ken Hardison and I are friends.
Yeah.
I didn't try to recruit you.
That was my first experience with that mastermind, actually. That was like maybe my first or second week on the job. There was some webinar thing that James was like, you should watch this, or my boss. And it was you. And I thought, this guy is awesome. He knows what he's talking about. He's giving actual value. It was not a sales webinar. There was no pitch at the end.
Right.
You said, like, if you want more help, more advice, check out the website. And it was like, that's the kind of person that I want to be with, that I want to associate with, that I want to learn from. Because I've worked with successful people who lied and cheated to get to where they were. I don't want to learn a single thing from that person, because the things they're sharing are tainted. The experience, the knowledge that they have is tainted with a little bit of dishonesty. So
But you
thank
come to
you
me multiple times and I've helped you. I
every
think
single time.
I've embodied the just a tip thing. Because have you
Yeah.
paid me a dime?
No. And you gave me free access to your online course. You paid for our meal when we went to that barbecue place in Kansas City. Um, I owe you big time. And, uh, and
But
if
I
I
believe I
can,
would repeat what you told me. I put my stuff out there for free.
hmm
And if you got value, then maybe you leave me a tip.
hmm
If the advice that I gave you and the owner of the law firm on their SEO, because we audited the ads, we audited the SEO, we audited these different components. If you believe that there's value, now you don't own the firm, but the owner of that firm, if he believed that I gave him value, then maybe he could have written me a small check,
hmm
right?
yeah. And that's something that, as I've been thinking about this business model, that I'm trying to come to terms with is that you do have to have like a call to action at the
Yeah.
end of that. You do actually have to turn the tablet around and ask for a tip. But when they see that their bill is $0 and it's just pay what you want, there's not going to be this like, ooh, like sick feeling that you get from your barista asking for a tip, even though all they
Yeah.
did was pull a coffee from the fridge and hand it to you. So, yeah,
I
I
love what
think,
you're doing. I think that most people will be puzzled because it'll seem too good to be true. It'll
hmm
seem like a scam. It'll
yep.
seem like there's no way. Like I've helped you guys a ton on a bunch of stuff. I never asked for money once. And I'm
Uh-huh.
sure other people who are more cynical would be like, at some point, Dennis is going to try to, sell this $100,000 thing, right?
Yep.
Never
Yep.
did.
Never.
They come to these webinars and they're waiting for the pitch. I did a big webinar yesterday in John Lee's group, and
hmm
people were literally asking, okay, where's the pitch? Where's the thing to buy? I have things. I mean, yes, you can buy things from us, but I'm not selling any of these things because everyone's expecting the pitch at the end. There's no
hmm
pitch. I've spoken on stage 800 times and people are waiting for the pitch at the end. I don't pitch at
hmm
the end. I
And
say,
this,
here's more free resources. Here, here's a book, right? Here's other things that you have. Here's videos that I've produced for free that millions of people can see. Go consume them.
hmm
And they consume them like you have, and they say good things. And then that eventually drives more clients our way.
hmm
I flew out to Austin 2 days ago, and there's a new client that's about to pay us $100,000 a month in fees.
wow.
And they came to us because they went through our stuff and saw that there was all this stuff out there for free.
hmm
So I love what you're doing. I think you should put everything you know out there for free.
That's the plan in video format and then also transcribed and turned into books.
Yeah.
But
And I would love to
ebooks,
be, if you would give me the honor, I would love to be the publisher of your book and promote your book.
that would be awesome. I
I
would,
know a thing or two about publishing books.
yeah, freeebooks.com, isn't that what it is? Or
Yeah.
I forget the domain name, but
It's a domain rating 75.
yep. I think, and the thing with even me with this, the worldview that I have and my goal, even me has been a little bit waiting for like, where's the pitch? And you've every single time shown me that you're just giving generously, and it's added up. And now we're at a point where I just know like Dennis Yu is a guy that I can go to, and I know that he's truly going to look out for me, and it's just raw, pure generosity. And so I'm very grateful to have met you, to be associated with you, to get to talk with you, learn from you, um, and I'm excited to show you what I can build. And
I know what you can build. I want to do it with you. I want to see you grow. I want to see all these other 20 somethings that are disillusioned with their job who feel like the only way forward is to sell or do a job that sucks because you got to pay your bills.
mhm.
And that's just the compromise in reality that we all have to deal with. And not all of them have a wife like yours that believe in you and believe that it would be a waste for you not to do something that unlocks your talent, which I know sounds very foo-foo and whatever, but I believe in that. For people like you that have talent and have the right beliefs, I want to put your message out there because I think there are thousands of other Bradens who just have not been given the opportunity. And how are they going to learn? Watching videos on TikTok and Instagram? A lot of the information out there is wrong, as you know, but how do you know what's real or not real?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think,
I want to elevate you. I want to see you put these videos out there. I want to put $1 a day against it, like we've talked about,
yeah,
because you're teaching from experience. You're not just some 24-year-old life coach who wants to tell people how to get wealthy. You're teaching from your experience on how to get websites to rank and how does SEO work and how do you make the phone ring and how do you scale up operations at a personal injury firm? You've
mm-hmm.
done it. You can publish the checklist on how to do it. You can make tons of videos about that for free. And I'm pretty sure that I can give you 10 personal injury attorneys who will sign up for services from you, but they're going to want to know what it costs.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
And I
right
can provide
now,
other people that fill in the gaps on the things that you don't know yet,
yeah,
or you don't have someone who can do that.
mm-hmm. And I think as I've been thinking about my model and the things that I am able to give to the world, I know that the value that I have to offer is not necessarily the website that I can build for you.
Right.
The value that I can offer is telling you your website needs to have these things, and this is the chef who can build that website for you. I've got the recipe. I know the chefs. Let's put them in your restaurant, give you the recipe, and then supply the talent. That's the value that I can have. And where I will get the most leverage is as I make these videos, as I teach people the recipe, and then I say to them, if you want my actual help, I do offer consulting services.
Mm-hmm.
I can walk it through for you because as much as I can give you like the general recipe, I can't tell you the recipe that you need to have in your restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you the chef that you need to have in your restaurant unless I know you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the difference between consulting and watching videos I create or reading a book that I write in the future is the actual application to your situation. And I do have the most experience working with law firms because that was my first job out of school. But I've also got farm experience. I've got a little bit of working with therapists experience. Like I'm just trying to collect all the knowledge I can and help as many people as I can along the way.
Well, how about this, Braden? Why don't you find other Bradens and each of them can take a category? Another one takes therapists, another one takes pest control companies. We have an agency that we're building for pest control. Thomas Ballantyne is a good buddy of mine. He's probably the best known person in the world in marketing for pest control. He runs Bulwark Pest. They're in many states. They're big.
I think I've heard of Bulwark. Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe in him. He's also LDS like you. For some reason, there's a lot of that. And I think that you should meet him. I think we should do a Zoom call, us three.
Yeah.
And he agreed on stage. I brought him on stage in Phoenix. And I said, Thomas, how long have you and I known each other? For like 15 years or something when it comes to SEO and Facebook ads and that kind of thing. Why don't we publish a standard? Because most people have no idea. And all these pest control people know who these guys are because they all trust the leader, what we call the lighthouse in their industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got all these lighthouses. If you can bring these young adults, Braden, who meet the moral criteria that we're talking about, think of the jobs that we can create for them. Because we have the connections. We have the recipes. Why would you have to reinvent the wheel when we already have this, right?
Yeah.
This is not like made up stuff. This has taken a long time to get to. That's how you create the most value. Put it out there for free.
Yeah. Create the recipes, give them to people.
But here's to take the restaurant analogy further. We have a giant room full of 1,000 business owners that are starving and they've been fed poo-poo, chicken poop, and they need real sustenance. They need real chicken tacos, not whatever that other stuff that doesn't contain meat for
Yeah.
99 cents, you know.
Yeah.
They need real food. This is a real situation. This is not hypothetical. This is not
Hmm.
like, well, one day we could help a bunch of people. These are people today. These are business owners right now that are sending me text messages, even as we're in this Zoom, that are
Hmm.
sending me messages on Facebook. I could share my screen right now and prove it to you. And all these ones that are coming in, we got to help these people.
Hmm. Yeah. And on my belief is that the best way to do that is to create valuable, accessible content that you offer for free, and then you accept thanks when they see the value, when they
Yeah.
give it a try, when they go through the operations manual, the SOP
Mhm.
that you've created, and it actually works.
But
In
they're not going to go through it, and they're not going to download this 2,000 page thing, and right? They're going to say, okay, what do I need to do? Where do I put in my credit card?
hmm to
Right?
get money
Because
out.
they're a lawyer, they're a physician, they mow lawns, they fix toilets, whatever it is they do.
Hmm.
They don't want to learn how to do all that, but they want to know whoever's doing it is actually certified and trustworthy.
That's a really good point. Yeah, so that's why the philosophy needs to be taken one step further. It's not teach these lawyers how to be business people. It's create better business people that the lawyers can hire.
Right. But the
Yeah.
lawyers still need to see that there's a certification.
Hmm.
So I was in Austin yesterday morning and I got on a plane, Southwest Airlines. They use Boeing, so people are making Boeing jokes, but the pilots are obviously trained. Would you get on a flight, Braden, where the pilot wasn't trained, didn't go to flight school, anything like that?
Not unless it was a self-driving Tesla plane, because I
In two
trust
years,
Elon.
Boeing and Airbus will have self-flying planes and all that,
Yeah. No, but absolutely not. My
but you
uncle's
don't have to know how to fly the plane to be able to get on the plane.
to trust them. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can trust
So,
your pilot.
but there's got to be a standard
Yeah.
because the pilot had to have a license, the attorney had to pass the bar, the doctor had to go to medical school.
Hmm.
How about us being Googleable? How
How are
about
you
making
Googleable?
sure that before they ever talk to you or me or anyone else who claims to be an expert, that we see what kind of certification they have?
Hmm.
And they can run their website and whatever through a tool that we're building that embodies everything that you and I know. Here's the thing about AI. Let's say, Braden, you make a ton of these videos, right? On how you do what you do on everything you know. Let's just say in the world of digital marketing, for example.
Hmm.
We can run that knowledge through the AI, and the AI can organize it and structure it into an SOP and into a standard. That standard can then be applied because we can tell the AI, here is so and so's website. Go ahead and apply the standards that Braden and Dennis and Marco and these other folks have, and go ahead and
Hmm.
grade it according to the criteria. Do you think the AI can do that?
I haven't seen it. I mean, I get the
Could
SOP,
that?
taking
Yeah,
your
could could
transcripts.
could an AI do that?
100% an AI can do that. An AI can absolutely take a look at your website for you. I mean, what's that new AI that got developed? That's the AI developer.
There's
Just
so
got
many of
released
them.
last
Every day
last
there's a new
month.
one.
Um, Devin. Have you heard about Devin?
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Devin is probably the closest step to being able to take a standard, put it into an AI, and have it give you an actual product on the other end. That's the closest to saying I need a website that does this, and it just giving you a website.
Yeah. So we're publishing standards on here's what's going on with your website. Here are how your ads are doing. Here's your social proof. Here's how you are relative to other personal injury attorneys in general. And
Hmm.
all the different aspects of Google. Here's how strong your personal brand is. Here's how well you show up in videos. Here's your social media being graded. Here, like all these different components of being Googleable, basically, right?
Hmm.
So when you search my name, you see a knowledge panel, all that, and I'm Googleable, right?
Hmm.
If I talk about like dollar a day or how do I run ads or how do I make videos or like you can Google it and you'll see it there, right?
Hmm.
But what I would love to see from you and hold you accountable is if you were to write down that list, because what you have in terms of the values and the core beliefs, I love that. I think there's a next logical step of based on those beliefs, what are the things I have experience and where can I add the most value? What should I be making those videos on? What's that list of topics?
Hmm.
If you got that list of topics and you actually do what you say that you're going to do here, which I believe you will, then shouldn't I be able to Google that, Braden? And that topic that you want to be knowledgeable in should pop up at the top.
Absolutely. I
Shouldn't I be
mean,
able to Google your name and see all this stuff
yeah, I
about
want
what you know?
to. The way I'm thinking about structuring my website at the moment is categories of expertise. What are the things I talk about? And right now, what I've been thinking is like philosophy. I am always going to be a gamer, so there might be videos I do on gaming. Relationships, communication, business. What else have I got? I guess that's all I've written down at the moment. But I've got like all of these things that I consider myself to be knowledgeable in, and I want to create content on all aspects of that, and
I think
provide
you have
value
a,
in everything.
I think you have a three-part business from what you told me.
Hmm.
Tell me if this make, because I've been analyzing and kind of marinating on what you've been saying. So because of your values where it has to be true, that naturally leads you to being a creator.
Hmm.
Just sharing your knowledge out there, which ties into the just a tip thing. Because if you just put your knowledge out there and people create, millions of people could see it. That's the beauty of putting it on the internet if you do it the right way. Then as a creator, people could tip you. They could
Hmm.
use Patreon, they could, PayPal you, they could use just a coffee. There's a lot of things that are like that, right? But that's probably not going to pay your bills in the short run. So when you do consulting and when you help folks like me and other friends, which is a great thing, and you do it ethically and honestly and transparently and all the things we talked about, then you start to grow a consulting practice
Hmm.
that initially makes more money than the creator side. But I believe, based on what you're saying, in a few years, maybe sooner, the creator side will actually be where you make more money, but you had to kickstart it with consulting.
Hmm.
But it was necessary to go through the consulting phase, not because you got to pay your bills now, but because in order to prove authentically that you actually have done the thing, then you
Hmm.
actually do it for law firms and therapists. You actually demonstrate how you're doing it. I wouldn't take on clients unless they agree that they can be an example for others. And if they go, oh, I don't want other therapists to know how I'm doing my marketing or that I'm working with Braden. Well, that's great, but unfortunately, I don't want to work with you because everything we have is for the public good so other people can learn how.
Hmm.
And for me, that's an important criteria.
Yeah.
It's not
So
just, I want to work with someone who's good. I want to work with someone who has the same beliefs as me.
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly my business model is consulting to help me bootstrap my content so that
But
I
the
can
consulting is
eventually
actually
be.
how you're creating the content. Because
Yeah.
you're not just a creator who's just making videos on YouTube and renting Lamborghinis or whatever. I mean, yeah, you can write down a list of your ideas and kind of what those topics are, and that's great for planning. But I believe that there's nothing better than documenting what is actually working and what isn't working.
Hmm.
And as you're delivering results, then why wouldn't other personal injury attorneys and therapists and digital marketing companies or whatever that are benefiting from the things you're figuring out, why shouldn't you publish that?
Hmm.
So the publishing is authentic and it's credible and it's transparent and it's believable and it's non-hypocritical
Hmm.
because you're teaching from real examples. You're not
Yeah.
just making up what you think could be good. And it wasn't just something that you did 10 years ago that may or may not be valid. What did you say? Something like teaching based on this ever evolving, whatever the current situation is, and things may change, and you reserve the right to be able to update that
Yeah.
based on things that you learn and things change. Google changes things, right?
Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
shouldn't you adjust these things?
Yeah. It was the transparency on evolving opinions was the core value, and
Yeah. But
absolutely,
it's not even on
essentially,
evolving opinions. It's just the
the
base
marketplace
of knowledge.
evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these things are changing, not just
Things
my
that
opinion.
things that are true today might not be true in 10 years,
Yeah.
and that and it goes side by side or hand in hand with the fact that opinions also change, because sometimes there isn't an objectively best thing or an objectively true thing. And that's something that I've actually been learning. You talked about being LDS before. My wife and I have actually both left the church.
Well, you still have the good values.
Yeah, I mean, it's at my core. And
Can
the
we have a
reason
coffee?
why,
Next time, let's have a coffee.
yes, we can have a coffee. I've actually, I can make a good coffee now. I bought an
Okay.
AeroPress. I've bought like
Okay.
organic,
All right.
nootropic infused coffee. Like I love
We have a
coffee.
lot of friends that have left the church, but a lot of friends are still in the church, and we're great
Yeah.
either way.
And I think it's a great place to start. But
Yeah.
eventually you might get to a point where you realize that you've outgrown the
Yeah, but
system.
you can't say that publicly
Yeah.
because that makes people
Yeah.
mad. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends, and they don't want to acknowledge that, or maybe I mean, they no. To be fair, I know some folks who are general authorities, and they don't. There's a lot of young adults that are leaving the church. That is not
Yeah.
everyone
There's
knows
so
about
much
that.
that goes into it. Religion
Yeah,
is a
I don't
part
even
of
want
it.
to go into that whole thing, but yeah,
Yeah, we don't need to. But I think essentially, if I record every consulting session I do, each one becomes a case study and social proof to so that people will actually see that the advice I share can be applied to create value for yourself, and it also just it adds credibility to
and
the
it
things
creates
that
more
I say.
accountability too,
Yeah,
because other
it's
people will be watching these. Here's the thing about making videos. Like 99.9% of videos never get watched. I mean, they could be
yeah,
conceivably be seen by a million people, but the majority of content is never seen. So it's basically anonymous, even though it could be. People could have seen that YouTube video. People could have read your tweet. But the practical reality is 99.9% of content's never seen. Because there's more content out there every day than you could ever consume.
yeah.
Increasingly.
What is it that every second, how much content, how many
It's
seconds?
something insane. Somebody created a chart like every second there's 100,000 hours of video being produced on each of these different channels, and and the number keeps growing because of all the AI generated stuff too, and more people coming online and just all these things.
Yeah. According to Google, 1 hour of video is uploaded to YouTube every second. So
It's
it's
more than that.
I guess that was in 2007. No, that's since 2007, which is a tenfold increase. That's just to YouTube.
Someone created an infographic that popularized this 7 or 8 years ago, and since then that's been updated every now and then, but no one really knows the real number
Yeah,
because only the networks themselves would know the real number, right?
yeah. No, but it's crazy. It truly is like you cannot catch up.
The point is there's an increasingly impossible amount of content being produced that you could never. So just because a lot of us are idealistic, thinking, you know what, I'm going to create content on this and this, and I'm going to be an influencer. Really? Do you know what you're competing against? You're up against Netflix. You have to be more interesting than Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Whatever it is.
Or at least more valuable.
It could be more valuable, but if it's not entertaining, people are not going to want to watch it.
But yeah,
I think that
watchable and valuable.
my most valuable posts, Braden, get almost no engagement. And I know this. If you look at my Facebook or LinkedIn, some of these posts I actually designate. Like this is I made a post like a week ago. I said, this is one of my most valuable posts of the year. Here's some stuff that I've learned. And it got like 12 likes on it. Right. And then I post a picture of something fun and it gets thousands of likes. So I agree with you. Put your value out there, but don't be disappointed if your best value content doesn't go viral.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that?
That's a really good lesson. I think it's something that is you can't argue that. There's nothing you can say. It just is a fact. You have to create entertaining content that is engaging and watchable and performs well, because the algorithm is not designed to give people the best value. The algorithm is designed to put videos in front of them that they're going to watch all the way through so they can show them the most ads.
Yeah.
And so when you are trying to provide true value, that value that you provide competes with the advertising value that Google's actually trying to sell you, that TikTok is actually trying to sell you.
Does Google or TikTok know what is actually true when we give advice on how to fix websites or whatnot? Because they don't know, they're just going to put the stuff out there that gets the most engagement or caters to what people want to believe, which unfortunately is a lot of mistruth. So fake news and misinformation is only increasing over time because the social media algorithms, not because they're bad or evil, but they prioritize Well, people click on it. What do people click on? The stuff that is too good to be true. The one AI tool that will help you do this, or if you have this one technique, you can beat Google, or if you do this thing, you'll lose 30 pounds in the next 7 days.
Yeah. Make $1,000 a day with a faceless YouTube. No work.
I know the people that are behind that.
Yeah. It's
The
you're
big
selling a
promises get the
dream.
most attention, whether
Yeah.
they're true or not, and you and I know they're not true.
Hmm.
But even still, I'm not doing it to become famous. But somehow I have 1 million followers on social media, and I'm not doing it because I have oh, Dennis has got 1 million followers. He's famous. He's got blue check marks on all of them. That's not it. What it is that I create content, and I think you agree with this, but I'm just saying it. I create content that I believe is true and that I would want to see myself. I'm doing it kind of for me in a selfish way.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're saying too.
Yep. I want to document my journey so that if I have questions, I can go back and watch my stuff. It's a journal. It's a public journal of my actual experiences. It
Yeah.
should be repeatable. Someone should be able to watch the content that I've created, read the things I post, and
Yeah.
literally become me. That is my ultimate goal. It's to leave a breadcrumb a breadcrumb trail of content that will lead you to the pot of gold that I eventually create for myself and share generously.
I think that the sharing generously and documenting this journal that is a track record or whatnot that you can, analyze. I think that if you can, if you can think of 3 or 4 other Bradens right now, we could all be training together.
Mm-hmm.
And if each of them, like, I think you'll own multiple businesses. I have multiple businesses I'm involved with. I think that in the economic world of this the first part, this consulting agency thing, which leads while the big lottery ticket of the creator thing is growing, I think each of those consulting things should be vertically focused. So one of them just for personal injury attorneys, one
Mm-hmm.
just for pest control, one just for real estate agents. With like from a marketplace economic standpoint, I think that's where consulting has perceived authority because it's aligned around the lighthouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
It's
you
the
have 3 or 4
reason.
Bradens, then I think we could train. I want you to meet all the other Bradens. I think I told you, and maybe you've met some of them. I think you have. Yeah, I know Bradens in all these other categories, and some are a bit further along than you.
Mm-hmm.
And you could learn from each other. And now there's nothing wrong with you experimenting and learning yourself and touching the wet paint yourself and finding out for yourself. But wouldn't it be cool if you met a lot of these other people who are further along in digital marketing
Yeah. Even if it
and just share
just,
notes? It would maybe accelerate your journey.
even if it's just to establish a referral relationship, that whenever meet somebody who needs a lawn care advertiser, then I can say, hey, I know a guy.
Yeah.
I want to be the person that can honestly say, like, yeah, that might not be my wheelhouse, but
Yeah.
I know somebody whose it is.
Yeah. And then when they say, yeah, I was talking to this personal injury attorney, but I'm the lawn care guy, you should talk to Braden.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
been working on that the last few months. I want to build a network. It'd be really cool is if you could be like the face of that or the leader of that. And then you could help coordinate that and bring these folks together. And then
That
we
would
have our
be,
team that do engineering and all the stuff that we do
yeah,
on the system side.
that feels like it aligns with with the vision that I've got a little more than being the personal injury consultant or the personal injury marketing person.
But you have to start with where you have actual experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't just start doing it for some like roofer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of overlap between personal injury, pest control, and roofing. But we have someone else like our buddy Parker is focusing on, or no, who is it? Keegan. Keegan is focusing on roofers.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 5 clients, I think, and they're all doing well. And he's going through the same stuff that you and I have talked about, and it's working. What a surprise,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Do you think that, so if you're creating this network of people
Yeah.
that these connections that can become referral partners, can become consultants, marketers.
But you learn from each other. It's even more than referrals. The referrals is just a byproduct.
Yeah. If we can create this in a way that aligns with these core values, and
I already
just,
believe in those same core
yeah,
values.
generously give the same way that you've given
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
I absolutely think we could attract a
It's a
huge.
mentor model. Why don't you, you should don't wait until you're 50 to start mentoring people.
Hmm.
You should start right now. You have enough right now to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right that I do need to start with consulting. I need to establish that social proof. And I
Yeah.
loved what you said about um, if I record each consulting session, turn it into a case study,
Yeah.
like an open-ended case study,
Hmm.
that is going to motivate the client, motivate the business to actually follow through, because the ending isn't there yet.
Right.
And the moral of this case study might be, if you don't listen to your consultant, you're not going to see results. Or you can say, we listened to it and it worked and we blew up, or we listened to
Yeah.
it and it didn't work, so that piece
Yeah.
of advice wasn't good.
And by making it public, we can publish it on some sites that we happen to control that have a lot of SEO power. So it actually helps their SEO. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know anyone else in digital that has the same level of SEO power. Just like literally, you can use any of your favorite tools to see who's got more SEO power on their sites.
Mm-hmm.
So we can help their SEO by publishing this stuff,
Yeah.
which is sort of, some people who are in the SEO space will say, yeah, well, Dennis is just going to publish these case studies from Braden and whatever. And now his sites are ranking and all that because he's found a way to pass juice and he's just cheating. No, it's legitimate because we're actually doing the case studies and it actually does belong on sites that already have a lot of case studies
Yeah.
and
And
already
truly is,
rank on digital marketing terms.
and it's truly valuable content.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's.
as white hat as it comes. It's
Mhm.
completely legit. It's not even like barely legal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's good for you. And it also aligns with my values of the idea of like learn, do, teach. And the whole thing with mentorship and apprenticeship, which is not in your values quite as crystallized as the way I look at it, but I think
Yeah.
it will soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I need a little bit more experience with mentorship, um, and receiving mentorship, because that will help me to see the value of it, and it'll definitely be added and adopted into my core values.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I
Sweet.
can't wait to turn this discussion into an article or two. I know our VAs are going to watch it, and some of the other young adults who also topically understand will be applying their different skills using, Descript and ChatGPT and whatnot to turn it
Mm-hmm.
into featured articles, make you look good, make me look good, and anyone else that believes in these same set of things. I like that you read out those core values. I would love for you to publish that, make it an infographic, and we can all link to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually my next step, my next steps are to redo my website. I need to make it conducive to like, because right now it's basically just a portfolio, and it's a poorly built out portfolio. But I need to add the ability to book time with me. I need to add like about me, my story, and then have places to store the content
Yeah.
that I create, links to the YouTube videos I do.
Yeah.
So it'll become a portfolio, a marketplace,
Yeah.
everything that I need it to be. So I've got some work to do on my website, and
Yeah.
and I'll add that.
So how do I pay you?
I don't
I want
have a
hours.
way.
I want your help in evaluate. I want you to look at some of the tools that we're building and give feedback. I would love for you to help, with some audits, and we have law firms, PI firms that have come our way, and I'd love for you to do everything in the way that you're saying you're doing it to help them out
Hmm.
because they need it really badly.
Yeah,
I can just send you money, and while you're building a Stripe or Calendly or whatever, you know, you can integrate PayPal with Calendly in 5 minutes.
yeah,
That's easy, right? Invoice off of that. There's so many ways to do that.
yeah. I didn't know you could integrate PayPal into Calendly. I was planning on having.
Or maybe it's like whatever, Authorize or Stripe or whatever, but it's you can have it so that people book a block of hours and then it gets scheduled.
Mhm.
If you're selling it like time, you could also, I mean, we use Infusionsoft and we use SPP. I can show you how we do that. So that's selling packages
Mhm.
in addition to just selling time. I think at some point you should be selling packages, but maybe initially you sell time.
Hmm.
Packages require team execution, though. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Until you built a team, you really can't sell a package.
Yeah.
That's what the agencies are selling, but you know how that works. I don't believe in that model.
Hmm. Yeah. So I need for some people, I need the ability to effectively and easily and efficiently track time so then I can invoice. And then
Yeah.
for other people, I want the ability to sell in advance. So you can like buy credits and then redeem
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah.
Like minimum, you can buy 5 credits and then each one of those credits gets you an hour with me.
I think you, I think in the, I could check, but we pay a lot of money for this thing called Service Provider Pro,
Hmm.
and it allows for people to book different things. And I think you could use our license because it's kind of expensive, but I think our license allows for multiple providers to set up marketplaces under their name. But I got to check on that. Because there's a lot of things that we've paid for and bought and built that you could just go ahead and use and put your name on it. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? It's already been paid for.
Yeah. And I think I've also got a lot of, there's a couple of WooCommerce tools that I'm familiar with. And so
Yeah.
that was my plan, was to build it off of WooCommerce since it's what I'm most familiar with.
Yeah. WooCommerce is great.
But I'll see. I'll have to look into that. When do you want time from me? Like I wasn't really expecting this to turn into, I was just thinking,
I wasn't either, but you mentioned it. I thought a bit, and you laid out your values, and this intersects very well with my values and what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely want to make sure that the things that I'm offering for you are things I feel confident I can do.
I
Or at
know
least
you
that
can. I already know you can.
Okay.
I'll pay you in advance. You want me to just send you money?
I don't want you to send me money. I don't need that. I want to, like I've said, the principle is like, if I'm charging you, if you just sent me a bunch of money, that's not just the tip. That's
All right. Well, let's do some great
opposite.
work and then just use, we have a TimeCamp license. You could just use TimeCamp to track your time. It integrates with Basecamp. That's why we use that.
Hmm.
I love Basecamp for project management.
Yeah, I've never used Basecamp.
We'll create you an account in our system and you can play with it.
Yeah, that'd be
And
cool.
if you want to do your own, then, you buy your own license.
Hmm.
But we have a ton of EAs that are using it. So we've been using it for years. And it automatically tracks time against whatever project you're working on.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, law firms do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Which case you're working on,
Yeah.
billing time, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'd like to adopt a little bit of a just the tip model with you.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about any projects, any services that you want, and you can just tip me.
Okay.
If there isn't a person that I can trust to tip me, it's you. Like, you know what I mean? So I'll start by branding or betting that there are good people out there, and I'll work for you on a tip based model. So I need to set up a way to get tips and then a way to report to you what I've done so you can easily evaluate and decide what you want to tip. And I'll include hours and then also a breakdown of work I've done.
Yeah.
And
Or
then,
ideally, you can do the update part inside our Basecamp. You could still use whatever system you want, but then that way other people can see what you're doing. And we have a structured way of taking these things and turning them into articles and SOPs and that kind of thing.
yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a
But then whatever way you want to structure the just a tip or tracking your time, but that's however you want to do that.
yeah.
You tell me.
Okay.
Cool. What a serendipitous surprise. I didn't even think it was going to go this way, but so cool.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things have been happening like that for me lately. Just
Yeah.
it's weird. Things are falling in place in a way that they never have before. And when I quit and I told James like why, because it was overnight. It was like on a Monday. I went into work, and I was like, yeah, we're good. Like I'm still planning on working with you for a while. Like I definitely want to phase out at least in the next 6 months and start doing my own thing. And then it was like Tuesday morning, I went in and talked to him, and I was like, I can't. I realized that, so I gave him 3 weeks notice.
But he knew it was coming, and you did too. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah, exactly. So I tried to not just like rip the rug out from under him.
Yeah.
And I gave him notice and offered to help. And like I've told him if he wants to call me, I'll help him for free for a certain amount of time, and then he can pay me as a consultant. But I don't know why I brought that up. I don't remember what my point was, but I just feel like
everything's
since
happening.
that moment. Oh yeah, everything's been happening for a reason. In that conversation, I told him there was this feeling that like I'm gonna miss who I'm supposed to be. The train is in the station, and I need to get on, or I'm never gonna become the Braden Moser that I'm meant to be.
Yeah,
I will always be this version of me, and at this point, I'm not happy. I'm depressed. I don't wake up every day with like life. And then the day after I told him that, it was like I started waking up again on my own. Like I slept better. I felt excited. And then since that moment, things have just been clicking and falling in place.
Amen. Congrats.
Yeah.
I knew when we had barbecue it was going to happen. I think you even said it was going to happen in the first quarter.
Yeah. I don't know if I did. If I did, then I called my shot and I hit it. But that's cool.
Yeah. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I'm trying to be ambitious but realistic, optimistic, but planning for the worst case scenario. And I keep getting lucky that the optimism is paying off.
Well, it's amazing how lucky you get the harder you work and the more ethical you are.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's I need to figure out what exactly it is that you want to work with me on. I mean, I'm available as a consultant for sure if you want actual like services.
Yeah, let me know. Send me a note because I got to do this other thing now. But later today or tomorrow or Monday or whatever, let me know what your schedule looks like and let's set it up. Just send me a note. We'll just do it via text. We'll coordinate.
Okay, sounds good.
You're the best, Braden. Appreciate you.
Dennis, thank you for having me on.